What up, Sakaigers? It's BTO Pro, your favorite non-contributing member of the Sakai project. I have something cool that I wanted to let you all know exists. I think it could be relevant to pretty much any open source projects, particularly of interest to Apereo projects. So it's called Web Component Factory. It's something that the Elms Learning Network team has been working on, as it says, as a way to churn out web components in a library agnostic way, document them, and make it so easy even Dr. Chuck will use it. So let's check out how it works. So I've got it installed here, and it's got this concept, which is that you have a company, and that company has factories, and those factories, they crank out elements. So I'm going to add a new factory. So I do WCFactory, and it's going to ask me some questions. So name of this factory, Sakai, description, the element repo for all of Sakai. You know, this would be kind of the scope potentially. I'm going to just quickly say, hey, it's in version control at an address. It's going to go and run some stuff. So looking at what this looks like when we use it in Elms Learning Network, this is a repo called LRN Web Components on here where we're starting to build this out. But basically, you're going to get the same way in which we develop, manage, and test our elements and publish them that we have access to, because I don't want to have to know how to do any of that either. So this is automating all of the tooling, all of the how to publish to NPM, how do I manage lots of different dependencies. It supports 6 different libraries for creating web components, which should be pretty useful given that I believe parts of Sakai are kind of moving towards Polymer, which is a web component project. So let's check out what I built there with that command. Okay, so it's done running. It's now, if I look at the directory, we'll see we have builds, factories, storybooks, and templates. So I'm going to go into factories. You'll see I have Sakai there. So if I go into Sakai and I do yarn start, it's going to spin up what's called storybook. Let's open that in a new window here. And the port that it's at is localhost 9001. And we'll see that I have the boilerplate of a Sakai storybook here. Now I haven't added anything. So now what we do is we open another window, get back to that directory, factories, Sakai, and from here I'm going to run WCF element. It's going to give me a new element. So I already have another factory on here, but I'm going to put this in the Sakai factory. You see I get all these different options of libraries. So if you use Polymer, cool. If you want to experiment with some of these other ones or just make a vanilla just using the classes that are in place with the W3C spec, go for it. So I'm going to make a Polymer one just to do it, and this is going to be called the Dr.Chuck element. And purpose is to have an inflated ego. Awesome. All right. Do you want to use Sass? He's got plenty of that. I don't think we need any. Do you want to have custom properties? Yes, I would like custom properties. Do you want it to automatically be wired to hacks? Oh, yeah, I do. Okay, so let's add a property. We go into a little loop here, and title is, I believe, ego size of this property, and it's a number, and we'll say it's power level 9000 is the default value. Do you want this to be available for CSS styling? We'll go with no, because he's very well styled already. Do we want to notice changes in this? This is basically just automating some of the common tasks when you go and build an element. So no, and that'll be the only one that we put out there. So then that's going to go and run, and it is going to ask what version of hacks I want, which I always pick the latest, and that should be the only question it asks. Let's go look at what that's going to generate from the window perspective here. So over here, you can see it's starting to compile because Webpack is going to pick up and notice the boilerplate being generated. And when this is done, there you go, it's built, and so it's going to start to analyze and merge this element. So the way that we build our elements, I think, is probably the coolest part of this process. But now you can see, hey, it's automatically started to build my Dr. Chuck element with little mini documentation. It lets me even set the slotted content, and I haven't had to do anything else. Then it gives me a command. Copy and paste this, which is just running yarn start from the directory of the element. You'll see it opens the element up, generates a little documentation site just for Dr. Chuck. And then if we go into a code editor, and go into the factory for this Sakai elements Dr.-Chuck. The whole idea is that we work within this src directory where we've abstracted CSS, HTML, and JavaScript of the element into 3 separate files. Oh, and properties over here. So then these are combined at runtime. So there's a script running in the background. It's going to just keep combining this and updating our little documentation site with our demo. So this is Dr. Chuck. So as I update the HTML of this, put in a span, check out Sugi. It's really cool, right? And then maybe I would have that be a link as over to, I don't know what the address is for it. And copy and paste, cool. So I'd hit save, and then we'll see in the terminal, analyzing, rebuilding, the site is going to get updated here. So that now if I hit refresh, we can see there's that link to check out Sugi, but also over in the storybook has refreshed utilizing the exact same files. So we can demo and work on one of these elements or all of them. All right, real quick, let's do a publish. So we're going to do yarn run build. That is going to compress and compile this element to work across every browsing target. So the great thing with web components as of October 23rd is they work everywhere except IE and Edge natively, which means you need way less tooling involved to actually get these to publish and work on the web. So after that, I'm going to run WCF build, which is going to do a static build of every element in my library. And right now, we can pump this out for static or for Drupal, backdrop, graph, what have you. It'd be easy enough to make this, pump out the Sakai or other things. Folder for this. Let's do it. Just type some letters. And what that's going to do is going to pull together, down from NPM, all of my elements. It's not going to have the ability to do that because I didn't publish this silly little site to NPM. But I hope you can find potential utility in this. And again, if you're interested in contributing, it's WCF project or WCFactory on the GitHubs. There it is, elmsln/WCFactory, or we're published on Yarn and NPM. Have a fun virtual conference, Dr. Chuck.